Hello and welcome. In this video we're going to look at how to use Microsoft Forms as an assessment tool. Now, to use Microsoft Forms you need to have an Office 365 account. You need to log into that account and then you need to view all your apps like the icon in the bottom left hand corner, and you need to select Forms. Once you do that, you'll see your forms there. Another way to do that is to simply Google Forms and click on the Microsoft link and log in if you haven't, and that will take you to your account here. So once I'm here, I've got two options, new form or new quiz. We're going to be focusing on quizzing today. The reason for that is that it's self-marking. So now I'm going to go through how to create your quiz. So I click on new quiz and you give it a title. So give it a suitable title and you can enter a description if you want to. Click add new. You've got a choice of choice, text or rating. You've also got date, but I mainly use the first three. So I'm going to add a choice here and give my question in there, and I can put my different options there. I can add as many options as I want. So here's my question and I've got three options. What software did we use to create a presentation? Was it Word, Excel or PowerPoint? And I need to choose the correct answer there. So I select PowerPoint, that was the correct answer. I can also, down here, I can give it points. So this is a multiple choice, it's just a simple question, so I'm going to give that 1 point there. So now let's look at a written response, and that needs to be text. Now, you type your question and you can put, the students will put their answer in underneath. And if it needs to be a long answer, you can select the long answer box here. Let's look at this required option. Now, first thing I do in my quiz is I get the students to enter their name and I make it required, because when I get my results, and I'll show you that in a minute, it doesn't always put their names on there. So just to be sure, I get them to put their name in there anyway. And if there's multiple classes getting them to take this quiz, then I get them to put their class in there as well as a multiple choice. So by checking this required field, it means that if I just click out of it, you get a star there, and the students have to enter their name. Now I might want the students to look at an image and answer a question based on that image. So in this question here, I inserted a picture and I'm getting the students to rate this slide. So just show you how to insert an image here. If I just add a new question, and it can be a choice or text. So I'm just going to choose text here. If I click on this icon here, insert media, I get the choice of an image or a video. And once I select image, for example, I can choose to search for an image, or I can upload one from either OneDrive or from my pictures file here. Now, once I've done that, if I just go back to this, I've given the students 3 points for this question. Now, because this is self-marking, I want to put in some potential responses, and if the students wrote any of these, then they would get a mark for it. Now I'm just going to zoom this out just to see this fully here. So I click on add answer here and I can add some more potential responses. So I could type in, how could the students improve this slide? Okay. If I think they could check the spelling, then I put that in there as a potential response. And if the students write that, then they get a mark for it. Now this is something that you might want to change, because if the students misspell a word or they don't type it in exactly as your correct answers, then they won't get the mark for it. So just need to be aware that if you do use that, you may have to go back and mark that yourself, and I'll go through that in a minute. Final thing I want to show you is a rating. Now I used this for rating a slide out of 5. So if I just show you how to create that, we go to here and I just add a new question, add new, and then choose rating. And you can choose how many levels you want, whether you want it a star or a number, for example, there. Now that's another thing that, how you're going to give points to that, you may have to, maybe something that you need to go and mark yourself. So that's how to create the quiz. Let's go and look at how to mark the quiz. Okay, I've written my quiz, so now I need to share it with my students. So I click on the share button here and it will provide a link. Now there's two options I can choose here. Anyone with a link can respond, or only people in my organization can respond. I always choose anyone with a link can respond because I don't want them to be any problems with sharing it. So I choose anyone with a link can respond. And if I'm just sharing it with my students, it's not a problem anyway, and I click copy. So if I go to OneNote, I can paste that link in, and as soon as I do, it provides the assessment there like that as a link, and the students can immediately type on that. That can also be shared in Teams as well, and could also be shared in an email, and the students could copy the link into a browser and they could open it there. Now my students have now done the quiz, and it's time for me to look at how well they did. So if I click on responses, I get instant feedback there, how many responses I've got, what the average score was, and a bit about the status there. It's active, which means it's still open. I can review answers, post scores, and I can open up the data in Excel. So we'll look at review answers, and we'll click on this button here. Here's what it looks like. Now I've got the respondent number there, and I can scroll backwards and forwards through the different responses. I've got the time it took them to complete it and the points that they've got. And here you can see their responses. So if I scroll down and show you some of the answers that they gave and what we can do with that. So here are their answers, and you can see that they got these questions right, and it's given them a point. Now that works really well. The place that it doesn't work so well is the written response. Now I did type in lots of correct answers, but this student unfortunately got no points for that. You can see they got a cross, they got that wrong because it didn't match the correct answers there. So what I did was I went in manually, and I could type in manually a score there because I've marked their work, and I think they got 3 for that. Even though it didn't match the correct answers there, I still think they deserve 3 points for that. So I've edited that to go from 0 to 3. I typed in 3 there, and it updates their score at the top. So just be aware with these written response ones, you still need to kind of go through and manually change the score because it might not always correctly identify the right answer, even though the student has answered it correctly. So let's have a look at what we can do in Excel. So if you click on Open in Excel, it will open all the scores in a spreadsheet. And it will look something like this. So you can see immediately it says email anonymous, and there's no name in there. So that's why I always get the student to type their name in and put that in as a field, because sometimes that won't always come through. And what I don't want is loads of quiz that are anonymous, and I don't know who did the quiz and who got the score. So you can see I've got the total points there, which would be useful if you want to copy and paste that into your mark book. If I scroll along, I can see what form they're in, and I can filter that down if I wanted to by form. And I can see my responses here, and you can see the points that they've got. So that is quite useful. You can use that data if you want to. You can kind of go through that, and you can see the feedback that you've given on the students' work there. Now, once you've manually marked the work, the students will see their responses, and they'll be able to see what score they got. Another thing that's really useful with forms is you can get a kind of a whole class kind of feedback. So you can pick out areas that a lot of students got wrong, and that is in responses. And if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the questions, and it will present in graph format what the students got right and what the students got wrong. So scroll to this question here. OMR is an example of what? Now, only 54% of students got that right. So I can pick that out as an area that I need to go through again for revision with the class, because a lot of students got that wrong. So that's an area that I need to go through again. And I can also see what a lot of students got right. So 87% of students got this one right. So that perhaps isn't something that I particularly need to go through again. There's a few students got that wrong, but most students got that right. So I can don't need to go through that again particularly. But this one here about the CPU, again, a lot of students got that wrong. So that is another area that I might want to go through again in my whole class feedback, perhaps in the next lesson or in a few lessons time, just to kind of reinforce the knowledge perhaps. So that completes this video on forms, and I hope it's been useful to you. If it has, please let me know in the comments. Please consider liking and subscribing, and thank you very much for watching. Bye bye for now.